I'm Corbett Wall with DVAuction, here with your feeder flash for Friday, May the 30th, brought to you in part by Livestock Risk Services. Check out these best agents, guys. Notice a lot of them on here. Of course, Dakota Moss in Oklahoma City, Steve Anderson, who's really good and always up on the cattle market in Mountain View, Arkansas. You got Tim Forth in South Coffeyville, Oklahoma, and Byron Bird out in Okeechobee, Florida. Several others there, but those to name a few. They are your LRP specialists. You can get some protection levels on your summer yearlings near $3 right now if you want to do that. For more information, go to livestockriskservices.com. Also, Unionville Livestock Market in north central Missouri and Creston Livestock Market in south central Iowa. Of course, Unionville had their big special on Tuesday. They had 7 loads of those Rockin' R cattle, sold awful well. Of course, Kurt Sporleader, our friend there, he put a call in to KTTN radio station there in Trenton that posted the false news about the screw worms in Missouri and got us a little more information about that. I'm hearing that there are some folks looking into that, and some pretty influential folks looking into that. So we may get to the bottom of it, and if you're the sorry SOB that did that, I would start to get concerned. But over up at Creston Livestock Market, Cody Fry, he's going to be having a sale right during the LMA conference that's going to be going on just north of there in Dunlap. He's got a back to grass special, and Justin Peterson's got 300 yearling heifers in there. Walt Glenn's got 260 yearling steers in there. The Griffin family's got 200 Angus calves. They're all Purina Health Track programmed there. So tell you what, that's going to be an awfully good sale. That's going to be on Wednesday of next week. Get out of the way. This market is coming through, and it is going through everything with fundamentals are driving this market. It doesn't care anything about fake news. It doesn't care anything about bearish technicals. It doesn't care anything about packers getting tired of losing money. This thing is going up, and the tight supplies are the force behind it. And it's just pure and simple supply and demand, guys. We had one of the most interesting fed cattle trade days in recent memory, and I'll tell you all about that, of course, here later on in the report. Your feeder cattle back up to all-time record highs again. Just keep bouncing up there. Nothing can stop this market right now. As long as these tight supplies hold, you know, your consumer is saying, you know, how much am I willing to pay for this meat that I want right during grilling season? Well, I'll let you know when it gets too high. But right now, they're going to keep buying it. You know, your feeder cattle guys are going to keep buying it because they want to keep making those cattle, and your cow-calf guys are just loving it because finally they're starting to get paid for the super product that they produce. But it is an awful good day, and I'm going to tell you all about more of it. But we've got a punchy pick contest to go through. We have Kids Corral. It's the last day of the month. It comes around quicker every month, but Kids Corral, donated by Great Plains Consulting, and let them help you guys. Let them procure your feedstuffs. They're good at going out. They know who to call, who to get a hold of, get that stuff procured, and then help you out with your feeding operation there or whatever you're doing. But they are sponsoring the Kids Corral. Got a $200 gift certificate to Cavender's Boot City to the winner. And let's go through them right here. Third place on the Kids Corral is Kirby Carter in Yell County, Arizona. And this is 4-year-old Kippy riding old Roan there. and he's got his nose down and cutting this calf right now. It looks like he's performing right there, and the only thing, it would be better if Kippy had some of those extra long shaps so we couldn't see her working those feet. We would think it was just all natural there, but I thought that was pretty good, and that's a pretty small little girl to be riding a big old horse like that by herself. How about Jason Galvin and 7-year-old Zephaniah they'd got some bred cows in, and we're checking some of them that thought they might be pretty close, and Zeph said, I'll palpate her, you guys just sit still and watch. So he put the arm in there and checked on her, and I thought that was pretty cool that he was doing that at such a young age. But the winner of the Kids Corral, and we do have winners, the one that wins gets all the spoils, so that's the way that goes, but the winner of the Kids Corral prize is going to be Sarah Wayne from, I'm not sure how to say that, Guessaway, West Virginia, and the dad was gone, so she had the boys out there, needed to doctor this calf. Caleb was 15, he roped it and flanked it. Michael was 11, he was filling the syringes for him while his hands were full, and the mom was playing rodeo clown to keep that cow away from the other two. Of course, that creek didn't help. Her creek helped quite a bit, I guess I should say, but congratulations to Sarah for winning the prize for the Kids Corral, and I think those were some pretty good picks. Now for our Punchy Pick of the Month contest, and we got some punchy ones for you this month. Third place goes to Russ Jones from Longton, Kansas. Now the river washed about 70 yearlings on downstream there, but Tyler and Cash Webb were out on the ground standing in that water trying to get that fence back up and get some posts driven in there where they can keep at least some semblance of a fence up. Kerry Harrod was pulling that fence back with his horse, and of course Russ was just sitting there supervising, but I thought it was pretty punchy with that sun going down like that, kind of made it more so. But that's a good pick. I like that one. Thanks for sending that in. Second place is going to be Holly Dorsey with, and she's in Colgate, Oklahoma. They were using this flatbed feed truck to block an alley there. And she tried to tell her husband, that's not going to do it, something's going to get it. He said, no, it'll be fine. She said, you ought to put a post across there or do something. Sure enough, this big old tiger stripe cow just jumped up on top of the flatbed and causing all kinds of ruckus there, but I thought that was a pretty good punchy pick there. But the winner of the punchy pick contest is going to be Steve Nisley. He's in southeast Nebraska. They had a cow that went out on a drying up pond. It was earlier this year, and that pond was starting to dry up. Cow walked out there, got into the boggy part of it, trying to get a drink, and then goes down in that gumbo. And you guys know how thick that stuff is, my gosh. She went down in there, couldn't get out. They thought they'd get a rope on her and pull on it, but it appeared that it was going to pull her apart if they went to pulling on her with that rope. So went and got a skid loader and caught her on the shovel, and they did it the old-fashioned way. They dug that cow out on that thick gumbo there, that heavy stuff, and the cow walked out. They said they hoped that she appreciated them helping her, but cow was fine and everything, and they had to punch you up there. And congratulations to Steve. He's going to win all the prizes with the punchy pick contest. He's going to get a ton of swag from NationalBeefWire, a ton of swag from Feeder Flash, from Beaver County Stockyards, and then Farapiece. He's going to get a whole case of that Farapiece, and maybe it'll calm those cows down. They'll quit walking out on that buggy pond or muddy pond to get a drink. But that was a good punchy pick contest, I think. Let's go to your board. June live cattle were up 160 at 215.52. August up $1.90 at 210.07. Your back months were up more from 157 to 212. Check out these feeder cattle. August feeder cattle up $4.30 at 299.92. It got back all that it lost there through that fake news story. September was up $4.37 at 298.85. And your back months were up 352 to 425. Now July corn was down 4 cents a bushel at 447. Beans for July up 3 1/4 cents a bushel at 1051 3/4. And Kansas City hard red winter wheat for July was up 6 1/2 cents a bushel at 531 3/4. Your fat cattle trade, and it was an interesting one. Started out in the morning. Hardly anybody traded anything. They traded a few in Kansas there. But we felt like your Northern Plains sellers were going to dig in and try to get more money. And indeed they did. But it took most of the day to do it. By 2 o'clock in the afternoon, which is the deadline to get this information reported, not a lot had gone on. We had only seen in Iowa 1,400 head sell, 1,700 for the week. So it's selling from 230 to 233, which would be higher. But Nebraska sold 134 heads, all at 368 dressed. Now that's nothing to sneeze at. But by later in the afternoon, the packers were desperate. They had to buy cattle, so they had to give $235 for live sales of fat cattle in Iowa and Nebraska. Dress market went all the way up to 370 and 375 to some regionals there. Hell of a good market. Now in Kansas, they traded a few more. Of course, we had the Fed Cattle Exchange, and they sold sold cattle in Kansas from 222.5 to 225.50. Now that's a lot higher than last week. That's kind of closing the gap on the Northern Plains there. So man, you know, that was early in the day. That traded in Texas, and Fed Cattle Exchange sold cattle from 222 to 223 on live FOB, and 222 bid the grid. It's pretty good prices there, guys. They had 2 to 3 majors in there, 2 to 3 more regionals in there actively bidding on those cattle, and really established a good market. But in direct sales, Kansas sold 3,500 head more. They sold from 220 up to that 225.50 that I told you they got on Fed Cattle Exchange. But most of the sales were at 222. That's only $1 or $2 higher. Now, did have 223 on some plain cattle late in the day, which lets you think that they probably could have got the 225 on all of them if they'd stuck to their guns. Who knows? Texas sold 2,350, can't talk today, from 220 to 223 there also. Now they had a fat cattle auction in Kelowna, Iowa, at 800 head. Good run there for them. Conventional cattle selling from 229 to 243.75. That's steady to $1 higher. They had slaughter cows selling from 150 to $2, returning to feed, put some more weight on them and then bring them back, guys. That is a hell of a market there. Sheldon Livestock, Sheldon, Iowa, had 600 head. The conventional fat cattle there sell from 224 to 231.50. And they had dairy steers from 202 to 209. So good sales in the auction there. Box beef cutout values gained a little more ground there. They had choice cuts up 67 cents at 366.09. Selects up $1.90 at 353.64. Your slaughter through the first 4 days of the week, 355,000 estimated cattle slaughter. You can't compare that to the previous week because it didn't have a holiday in it. You can compare it to the same week a year ago, and we had 19,000 less than the same week a year ago. Still really short slaughter. But we had actual slaughter information come back for the week ending May 17th. Had your average dressed steer carcass weight at 938 pounds. Another week of 7 pounds lower than the previous report. So some of they're digging into these cattle. They're starting to get a little bit lighter. So let's talk about your feeder cattle market, brought to you by Specialty Risk Insurance. They are working to protect your livelihood. Real-time index on DVAuction late in the day on Thursday, after all your sales had closed, was at 301.50. I told you the other day it's going to go back above 300. I thought it'd be longer before we'd see that, but it just zoomed back up there. 301.50, up $1.96 just on Thursday through the sales. Now your CME cash feeder cattle index 297.75. Sale you need to be looking at here on Friday is Crawford Livestock Market in Crawford, Nebraska. They're having a feeder and pair special. They've got 2,500 head on offer. Got some awfully nice strings of feeder cattle in there, and 2 or 3 really big strings of pairs to be selling you. Check them out on DVAuction.com. Now I'll talk about your big sales on Thursday. Winter Livestock in Pratt, Kansas had 3,500 head. Feeder steers were $3 to $8 higher than last week. Feeder heifers were $2 to $6 higher than last week. Calves were not well tested. It was your NationalBeefWire stick out sale of the day. Check out this automated market report through Cattle Market Central. And your best tested weights: 141 7-weight steers weighed 787 at 310.72. 409 head of 8-weight steers, 857 pounds at 298.98. That's awfully good. 717 head of 9-weight steers averaged 940 with a weighted average price of 291.45. Now your heifers, 143 of them in the 6-weight category, averaged 683 at 304.69. It was 357 head in the 7 weights. They averaged 745 at 291.95. 670 head of the 8-weight heifers averaged 831 at 280.43, and 273 head of the 9-weight heifers averaged 916 at 263.46. Going to give you some individual quotes from all around. El Dorado Livestock, El Dorado, Kansas there. 81 head of steers weighed 656 at 360. I guess you can just open the gate there at the sale barn and turn them out right on the Flint Hills. Bluegrass Stockyard South in Stanford, Kentucky. 58 steers weighed 895. I mean a whisker from 900 pounds, and bring $300 in the ring in Stanford, Kentucky. How about Ogallala Livestock Market, Ogallala, Nebraska? 66 steers weighed 787 at 337. Wow. But your Macrocin, no BS, top quote for the day. I'm going to give it to them for Kelowna, Iowa. Kelowna Livestock Market there. They are going to be joining the DV Auction Broadcasting group of sales here within just a few weeks. We're going to get over there early in June and get them hooked up. Then we'll be getting this information electronically, so like we do most other sales. But at Kelowna Livestock in Kelowna, Iowa on Thursday, they had the Bay Farms home-raised black and black baldy steers. They had 58 head of them, weighed 944 at 304. And that's your feeder flash for Friday.